Hi, and welcome back to Just Another Stitch. For those that don't know me, my name is Connie, and today we're going to be making an ear warmer in the waistcoat stitch. So you're going to need 3 different colors of number 4 weighted yarn. It really doesn't matter what 3 colors, but the colors I'm going to be using a dark green, a light green, white. I'm going to keep it St. Patrick's Day. Then you'll need a darning needle, scissors, and a stitch marker, along with a 5mm crochet hook. So those are the supplies you will need for this tutorial. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to grab our light green yarn and make a slip knot. Then our 5mm crochet hook, slip it through the loop and tighten. I am going to chain 72. Now, if you need to make adjustments to the chain, that is fine. It doesn't have to be exactly 72 chains. It doesn't have to be a certain multiple. Just chain the amount that will fit your head. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so continue to chain until approximately 72 chains, and we'll meet back up there. And like I said, if you need to adjust from the 72 chains, that is fine. Okay, you should have your 72 chains. And now we want to connect the first chain to the last chain. So make sure you do not twist your chain. Okay, and we're going to slip stitch the first and last chain together. If I can get into it. Okay, there it goes. All right, and let's tighten that. All right, so now we're going to chain 1. And I'm going to grab a stitch marker to mark the beginning of my round. Okay, so the next stitch, I am going to do a single crochet into. And we're just going to single crochet all the way around on round 1. But you do want to leave your stitches on the loose side. Don't do your single crochet stitches tightly. So just keep on doing your single crochet stitches. Okay, and just go all the way around your chain, and we'll meet back up when you finish that last chain. Okay, I have done 71 single crochet stitches, so I am at the end of round 1. So what you want to do is slip stitch to that first stitch. And that's where I find the stitch marker makes it really easy, because it marks that first stitch. And remember, you have that slip stitch right here, and then the chain 1. So remember that you have that. at the end of each round. All right, so we're going to slip stitch in the first stitch. And we're going to chain 1 again. All right, this is where stuff changes. This is where we start doing the waistcoat stitch. And it's very similar to the single crochet stitch. But instead of going through the center of your stitch, you go through the left leg. And the next left leg is right here. You see that V? That's what you're looking for, that little V. And you're going to stick your crochet hook through the center. You see where my darning needle is? That's where we're going. Or if I go from the other way, see? That is where you're going. And that's why it's important to work loosely, because if your stitches are too tight, it is hard to get through the leg. Okay. So now we're going to do the waistcoat stitch. And it's easy for your hook to slip out of that spot. Let me see if I got it. I think I did. Yeah, I got it. And normally I like to kind of lift up after I do that part of the stitch, because it makes it easier to go through it on the next round. All right. So this is where you would normally do a single crochet stitch right here. And like I said, we're going through that leg. So it's right here where that V is. That's where we're going. And make sure you hit through that V, because sometimes you think you did and you just missed it. All right, and again, we're going through the V. And you see how it's looking like a knit stitch in knitting? How the little V's interlap into each other? That's how the stitch is supposed to look. And again, we're going through that leg, the V. And this first round will be tighter. So you got to kind of sometimes force it. So you see right here, that's where you're going in. Right there. Okay. So we're going through that V. And then the next V. You notice you see how I kind of pull it up more than normal? I find that helps to give, more room to get through the V on the next round. Okay, and I'm going to show one more time to make sure you know where that V is. Okay. Y'all see, this is the center right here, where you would normally go in to do a single crochet stitch. And then next to it, you have that V. It's right here. That's where you go in. Okay, let's do this next one. Okay, and just keep going around doing your waistcoat stitches, and we'll meet back up at the end of the round. You should have 71 waistcoat stitches. Okay, we have just finished 71 waistcoat stitches. So let's finish off round 2 by doing a slip stitch into that first stitch. And we're going to chain 1. All right, let's take our stitch marker and move it. All right, so basically we're doing pretty much the same thing here. We're doing the waistcoat stitch all the way around. You go into that V. And this round really should be easier to work into. And you see you have your V here. And just make sure you work loosely. I'll do a couple of more for this round, so y'all can continue to see how it works. And you see how the V's are lining up? That's what you want. It looks like a knit stitch, but it's crochet instead of knitting. All right, this last one. Okay. So basically just keep doing the waistcoat stitch all the way around. Do not do the last stitch. We're going to do that last stitch together because we're going to be incorporating the dark green yarn. We're fixing to change colors after this round. So we'll meet back up there. Okay, we have one more waistcoat stitch left. So we're going to go into that stitch, into the V, start the waistcoat stitch. You have 2 loops left on your hook. Now you want to take your light green yarn and cut it. Leave a long enough tail to weave in your ends. And we're going to grab our dark green yarn. Wrap it around your hook like this. And make sure to leave a long enough tail to weave in your end. And just finish the stitch off. And you got to kind of hold it tight. Now we're going to go into that first stitch and do a slip stitch. Just kind of pull everything nice and snug. Okay. Now we chain 1. Move our stitch marker. And we just continue doing our waistcoat stitches. Let me pull that up more. Just keep going around. All right, and we'll meet back up when we get to the end of the round. Okay, we're at the end of round 4. So we want to slip stitch into that first stitch again. And then chain 1. Move our stitch marker. And we just continue doing the waistcoat stitch around. And we'll meet back up again at the end of this round. Okay, we are at the end of round 5. So now it's time to slip stitch into that first stitch and chain 1, move your stitch marker, and we're just going to continue doing the waistcoat stitch all the way around, and we'll meet back up. We're not going to do the last stitch. We're going to meet back up and do that last stitch because we're going to be incorporating the next color yarn that we're going to be using. So we'll meet back up when we get and do that last stitch of the round together. Okay, we have 1 stitch left to do, so we're going to go through the V, yarn over, pull through the base. We have 2 loops left, so we want to cut our dark green yarn and make sure to leave a long enough tail to weave in your end. And now let's grab our white yarn, and we're just going to wrap it around the hook. Leave a long enough tail to weave in your end and finish the stitch off. Now we want to kind of pull things tight. All right. So now we're going to slip stitch into that first chain. That first stitch, sorry. All right. And again, let's kind of pull on those loose yarns so everything's nice and snug. And we chain 1, move our stitch marker, and we're just going to continue doing the waistcoat stitch all the way around, and we'll meet back up at the end of the round. Okay, we are at the end of the round. So now we are going to slip stitch into that first stitch, chain 1, move your stitch marker, and for round 8, we just continue to do our waistcoat stitch. And we'll meet back up when we get to the end of the round again. Okay, we are at the end of the round, so we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch and chain 1 and move our stitch marker. And we just continue to do the waistcoat stitch in every stitch, and we'll meet back up at the end of the round. Okay, we are at the end of the round, so we're going to slip stitch in that first stitch, chain 1, move your stitch marker, and we're going to start round 9. And this is the last round we're going to waistcoat stitch into. So we're doing just like before, just waistcoat stitch into all of the stitches, and we'll meet back up at the end of this round. Okay, we are at the end of round 9. So now we want to slip stitch into that first stitch, chain 1, and move your stitch marker. All right, so for round 10, this is the final round, and we're going to be doing things differently on this round. So now we're going to go back to working in the center of the stitches. We're no longer going through the leg. And all we're going to do is just slip stitch into every stitch. And I'm going to make my tension on the tighter side. You're just going to have to use your judgment how it fits your head, how tight you want that tension on this last round. But you just keep slip stitching in every stitch. And we'll meet back up at the end of the round. Okay, we have now slip stitched into that last stitch. So now all you want to do is slip stitch into that first stitch again. And I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn now. Just make sure to leave a long enough tail to weave in your end. All right. And now I'm going to slip stitch and fasten off. Okay. And now we just weave in all our ends. Okay, I have turned mine inside out just to make everything easier. And I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle. And basically, I just go into a few stitches like this with my needle. Now I'm going to work the opposite direction, but I'm not going back through that first stitch. Do like this. And now I'm going to go back in the opposite direction without going through that first stitch again. Okay, and now I'm going to cut my yarn. And I'm going to grab this other green yarn. And just go through some of these stitches. About like that. Then go back in the opposite direction. But I don't go through the first stitch when I go in the opposite direction because you'll just undo that first stitch if you do. Move back the other way. Okay, and let me cut this. And just continue to weave in the rest of your ends and you will be done. Okay, I have all the ends weaved in. I flipped it back to the correct way and we are finished. So if you did it in the colors I did, nobody can pinch you for St. Patrick's Day. So I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial. If you make this headband, I would love it if you would send me a picture of it. My email address is justanotherstitch2020@gmail.com, and you can find my email address in the description box of this video. So have a fabulous yarny day, everyone, and be the light. Always remember to be the best sparkly you that you can be, and be cool and be kind. Bye.